Hello everyone and welcome back to the LSI F1.5 EU Championships. We're today for the Canadian Grand Prix, and once again I sped run the intro. I guess you didn't understand a single word that I just said. We're for the Canadian Grand Prix. I failed. We're here for the Canadian Grand Prix, round 16, round 3 out of 16. Okay, I'm just going to shut up now. We're just going to get into qualifying. Ben comes on the final corner now, gets across the line. It's the second lap that they've done, but it's the first time that they will set, and that is provisional pole. Very, very small margins there, Zingy. Just like something else that yeah, carry on.
What?
Very small margins there, Ben on pole. Zingy, what's the strategy looking like today? How long the tyres are going to last?
Well, the soft tyres will die off after like 6 laps. They're not very good. More of a 25% race type tyre. They'll overheat very quickly too, considering the very first corners in the middle sector. So you don't want to usually use the softs unless you've got an adaptable setup. So I'd say probably medium hard or medium soft would be the strategy for today.
Okay, maybe a 2-stop. That would be very interesting if it could work. We're going to go on board with this man, Epic. He's had some pretty bad luck in the last 2 races to start the season. Let's hope he can get something good today. We will watch on board with his quali lap into the final corner. Go, take it easy. Now get the throttle on. Down the start finish straight. Cross the timing line. You've got that DRS, of course, into turn 1. Heavy braking, get the car rotated. Bleed off the throttle, but they did lock up a little bit. Try and get the car rotated. Smooth on the throttle here. They didn't use all the track, but still it's a tidy lap. Go into turn 3 into 4. Nice and close to the track limits, close to the wall as much as you can. Flat round the turn 5 up to turn 6 now. Mount this curb on the inside, lovely stuff, into 7. Careful on the throttle, easy to get it wrong as they show us. A little bit of a moment, DRS available to try and get them back that time that they just lost with that moment on the throttle. Now send it through to turns 8 and 9. You've got to chuck it in to actually get the car rotated. Now into the hairpin, got a bit of a traffic up ahead. Hopefully they won't cause too much of an issue, but he's locked up anyway, and that is going to be not an ideal lap after all of that. Unfortunately for Epic, they'll get DRS and they've just got a couple more corners to go through, and they will set their first lap. This is important as it's a banker. You just want one now and then you can push later on, so they have to still set it. Come around the final corner, they keep it valid, nicely done. What's it going to be? Where's it going to put them? That's the question, and it's going to put them into P3. So not too bad there actually. Just a couple moments, but it put them fairly high up on the order.
Yeah, it's going to be really tight. I mean, this track's only like 70 seconds long. It's kind of like Austria in a way. You need to find those fine margins with Lepic's mistake. It could have been on pole there, or provisional pole for the time being. And speaking of pole, Ben's just coming out, so he's going to go for our second runner. And Blake is on a lap, so coming into the chicane, you want to ride the curb a little bit, run a bit wide on the exit, get as close as the wall you can, as that's Lepic round. Coming under the bridge now into the fast 7-8 complex. You want to use all the track, that's what you need to do throughout this whole track. And coming into the hairpin now, you want to brake around the 100 metre board, and if not, just a little bit after. Hug the inside, he's went a little bit wide, but that should be okay. Using all the width of the track, once again, as it's a street circuit and it's very tight, using the DRS, not going to get a slipstream off JJ. And coming into the final corner, there is yellow flag, so hopefully that doesn't hinder him. Last chicane, he sends it, nearly rubbing the wall of champions, and coming up to the line now, it's going to be a 1 minute 10.7, and that puts him on pole position for the moment.
We knew Blake was good at this circuit. Let's see if he can convert this into a pole position. Let's still let the McLaren go through. Currently sitting in a comfortable position. What time do you think we can get later on? Can we get to the 0.5s?
I mean, whatever lap time I set, they can set much better than what I did, so they'll probably be setting 9s, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I can't remember. My brain doesn't go that far back, unfortunately. Is what it is. Benjamin, not Brody. Benjamin is on a lap. Purple first sector, so looking to improve and try and take back that pole position. Coming into 8 and 9. Throw it in. Lovely stuff. get the car rotated, but a little bit too much rotation. That's going to be a little bit difficult. Marco disqualified for driving the wrong way after a spin at the hairpin. So that is a weird one to get involved in. Benjamin carries on, and they've got the car in the way, so they've had to go off the circuit. They're going to lose a lot of time all the way up to the straight. That was actually probably a ghost car. They did actually hit it, so they're all right. But obviously it's very distracting, and I think for Ben, that is going to be into the pit lane. No point setting that lap time after all. Corin has put a P2 lap in. I wanted to go on with them earlier, but unfortunately, they were invalid. So they've set 2 laps on these tyres, obviously, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Hold on a minute. Sorry for this.
As Rob will know, Ben said out of turn 2, that corner really difficult for traction, as we've seen in the other races and qualifying sessions. People are really struggling to obviously get the traction down as it's uphill, and it's not very nice on the tyres. He's still pushing on, it seems, although he has 1.2 seconds down, so I think he might go for another run. Breeza looks like to be on a lap at the moment. He's not purple, but he's improved by 0.08 of a second. Coming out of turn 6 now, keeping it nice and tight. Now coming under the bridge once again, it gets closest to the outside that you possibly can, using all the tracks. Or yellow flag it again. Let's hope Breeza doesn't get hindered like Ben did. And now coming into the hairpin, there's still flags out, and I have no idea why. He has purple middle sector, so if he can just hook up the last chicane, get a good exit here, which it looks like he has. Coming onto the back straight, he wants to open that DRS as quickly as possibly can. You want to keep it to the inside, although Breeza hasn't done that, so that'll lose him about 200-300s. Coming into the final chicane now, breaker at 75 metres. Inside and outside, you want to ride the curbs. He's running the inside the curb, and coming up to the line is going to be pole. No! He's missed out by less than 10 thousandths of a second.
Maybe if he stayed on the inside on the back straight, he would have got that one.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, man. Fine margins.
Blake on his way to try and defend this. Benjamin, he was on top earlier on. He's going to try and get back there eventually. Of course, had that bit of an issue. I don't know if you'd say impeding or if it was just an unfortunate situation with Marco's car. We have the 2 horses on. I want to see where they are. We have another McLaren JJ. Nope, that's not JJ. That is Benjamin.
Lepic hit the wall coming out of the turn 3 and 4 little chicane, but he seems to be continuing on. But he might have a bit of damage. No, never mind, he doesn't. So he is continuing on. Sorry for interrupting, but coming into close to the wall. Jeez, Lepic's really pushing on this lap, leaving no margin for error whatsoever. But he has a 10th down, so he's going to have to find a lot of time. Although he did lock up here, so he should be able to find that time back. Coming onto the back straight now, you want to open the DRS as quickly as you possibly can, keeping to the inside, gaining that little bit of time, which might be vital. Which Breeza sadly figured that out. Coming into the final chicane, you want to ride both curbs very aggressively, which he's got the first curb hooked around, but it kind of over-rotate the car, and coming up to the line, P3.
Pretty close.
Not even a 10th.
Yeah, it's very, very close between these guys, but yeah, Lepic had that mistake in on the exit of turn 7 and the exit of the entry of the hairpin, sorry. Yeah, turn 4 as well. So hopefully, no, not hopefully. That is why the time improved, obviously, but that and some good old skill as well is needed. Benjamin once again doing a second lap, if he's invalidated on this one. So I think that might be a common occurrence with this new update. Maybe the tyres are just a little bit too cold, and everybody has to go for a second lap, riding that curve really hard. That's not something that we've seen so far. On the inside into turn 2, they head to 3 and 4, get it through nicely, send it through. Bit of a correction on the wheel, but it's not too much of a big deal so far. Up to 6 and 7 now. Get the car hooked around, open up the steering as much as you can to reduce any struggles on the throttle, stealing a bit of toe from the car ahead. Oh, very, very harsh over that first curb, but didn't actually get it hooked onto the left-hand side curb. That's going to lose him a bit of time, but into the hairpin. Can they do well here, taking a slightly wider line? There are benefits to that, but I don't know if it would have gained them that much. This time, they don't get impeded on the left-hand side. They come around the final straight now. They're going to get into the chicane. They are a champion themselves. Let's hope they don't put it in that wall. It's not...
and he's validated.
On the final few corners. That is the worst thing you can do on that corner as well, because it invalidates it for the next lap anyway.
He would have got a pole.
Oh no, that's a shame. That is a shame. He's not going to have time to come back in again, so he either stays out and risks it, which I guess is his only option unless he's not got enough fuel, or that's it. Blake on a lap. We'll watch on board with them as they come through the final chicane now. Let's see what they can do about it. We've got lots of people on laps right now. Starting
yeah,
lap,
no, he's going to start a lap. Yeah, because
okay.
he's just saved the RS.
So that's a bit of a bug then for the game. It just told me he was on the lap when he wasn't. Lovely.
No, I think he's on a second lap on the same tyres because he invalidated the first one. Turn 3 and 4, and he's invalidated. Blake won't be improving. Breeza's about to start a lap, I believe, just letting the Williams go of Cohen. Cohen is also going to start a lap at the moment, so these guys are just trying to find space within this very short track, just so they don't impede each other. Now Cohen coming into turn 1, you want to ride the inside curb a bit. Turn 2, you want to short shift into 4th, which he hasn't done, but he gets the traction down very nicely. Turn 3 and 4 now. You don't want to cut it too much just in case you invalidate it. Run it right up to the wall. Turn 5, going to hook it around the outside, and he's 1/10th up, which would put him round about within that top 4, a little split, as he loses the back end a little bit, nearly hitting the wall. Coming into turn 7, I believe, getting the car, hitting the curb, and coming into the hairpin now. He is 1/10th up still, so he's kept the margin, but he hasn't improved all that much. 1/10th would not put him within that little grip. He needs to get a little bit more out of the car. Coming into the final chicane, he's going to have to brace himself for this one. Use all the track. The Wally Champions is there too. You do not want to bin it there. That's the worst place to crash. Coming up to the line, Yemo on pole with a 10-2. Wow, 5/10ths up on anyone. And Cohen goes P4, so he can't do anything. Breeza 600ths off Yemo, so he can't do anything. He can't deny Yemo a pole position.
Or Blake, sorry for that, Blake was just not impeded. It was on a straight, so it's not so much of a big deal, but there was a car in the way. They're on their final lap. Of course, they've done a second lap, 4/10ths up here, so could this be challenging their teammate? Will they be able to beat their teammate for a second time in a row in qualifying? This would be very, very interesting to see. Gets the DRS on now. We'll have to see AlphaTauri. Can they make it a 1-2? Can they make it a 1-2? Final few corners. DRS available. Hoon it through the last corner. They've done it too hard. I don't believe it. Blake has ruined it. It looked like it could have been pole, but it's too late. Blake is done. That will not be an improvement. Cohen's invalidated. I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to go for a second run, but what a shame for Blake. It looked really, really good. It would have been, well, actually, I say would have been a possible 1-2. Breezer actually pushed himself right up there in the end, so well done to Breezer there. That was awesome. But, yeah, unfortunately for Blake, he wasn't able to meet his teammate up on the front row, but J-Mo on pole.
Well, that was a very hectic end to the qualifying session. Blake was about 4.5 up coming into the final corner, so he could have denied Gemma of pole, but that mistake cost him literally everything. He could have even got P2, started on the front row, had a clean run down to turn 1 with his teammate, but now he's got a Ferrari of Breeza in contention. So
if I'm correct, that does mean he starts on the inside, right? I think first starts on the inside.
First starts on the outside. Breeza will start on the inside, and Blake starts on the outside. So I don't know if it's like real life, but in real life they would have more grip, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Alrighty, here are the results. Jomo takes pole position, Breezer in P2, followed by Blake in P3. This is the rest of the grid. We'll skim through the race director just in case if we need to check it out later on, as always. And then we will be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. The top 6 split by half a second there. Lovely stuff. Hello everyone and welcome back to LSI F1.5 Championships. We're today for the Canadian Grand Prix, and once again, for the third time, 3 out of 3, JMO lines us on pole position for the EU tier. Breezer, for the third time in a row now, is in P2. So these guys lock out the front row once again. Let's see how it goes this time. Time will tell. JMO, of course, winning the last race. Now we go through Breezer. We got Blake Cohen in P4, Robbo, Lepic, Benjamin, Gilly, Tommy Gunn, Reese 4000 in 10th place, and then we have Larlick, JJ, MGS, and then not qualifying or being DSQ'd was Fen, Nidam, Nifo, and Marco. Let's see what we can get. Just going to have a quick look at the tyres just before we go. Hards for the pole sitter, mediums for a couple people behind, so they're going to look for a jump very, very soon. Off the line, it's going to be really, really weird to see. But yeah, we're getting lined up, getting ready to go once again for round 3. Who's gonna lead into turn 1 this time? Hold your breath, clench your butt cheeks, because we're about to go racing. Hold. Go! Who's gonna get it into turn 1? I don't know. Waiting for the delay, and there's a big crash at the back. That's an Alpine. That's an Alpine going off side by side into turn 1. The two rivals wheel bangers. Breezer knows what he's got to do, and he's done it right off the line. And Blake wasn't able to be there to defend. They had pressure from Curran, and that is Blake into P3. Curran stays in P4. We've got the Mercedes squirming at the back right there, as you see the halves on the inside, going for the dive goes Lepic. Will they be able to get it done? Robbo tries to fight back, and they do, rightfully so. Well done to them. Awesome job. Benjamin sat behind these guys. He's getting pressure from Sven, who is already there on that soft tyre on the inside. They have to let him go. It's not worth the fight. Benjamin now is going to take advantage of that run.
As Blake goes up to P2, he's around the outside of Yemo. Yemo's had an awful start on those hard tyres. He's lost the back end, and the Cohen is going to put him under significant pressure coming into the final chicane. It's going to be tough to get around here. He's going defensive. It's going to be side by side. Who's going to get ahead? Cohen into the final corner, side by side with Yemo into contact, and he's round! He's round! No way! Oh my days! Yemo from pole position, it's gone catastrophically wrong, and he's down to unlucky P30. No way. It's Sven, and what's happened here? Neffel and Lepic having a battle for P6. Neffel round the outside, and he takes advantage of all the carnage, and he's up into P6.
Yeah, no point of fighting the F1 drivers. They just have to let them go, and they can use it to their advantage as well. If they really think about it, Benjamin still not able to get past Lepic. Of course, with all that action happening, he had an opportunity, and then it's just disappeared as soon as it arose. We have Tommy Gunn, who's had an issue.
And Yemo
goes down the order with Yemo. Okay, that's an interesting one.
They didn't make contact. It was two separate incidents. Yemo, maybe with those hot tyres, just spun around. I'm not sure what happened to Tommy. I think he might have made contact with either Larlick or Gilly, but I'm not going to not throw hands, pointing fingers at this moment in time.
Yeah, no worries, Spike. Right behind now, Breezer could get threatened. The arrows will be available, not just yet, very close to the wall, but it will be available soon. This is Cohen's chance to catch up to the top two, but with a car right behind him, looking for the move into turn one, it's not going to be so easy, although that's probably the better idea, because now Sven could catch up with that fastest lap as well, and he might be able to get them into the train, if not on the next straight, maybe on the back straight. Now Blake's going to be sizing up that move. The straight is a long one, so you've got plenty of time to catch up. They just have to make sure that they use that ERS effectively and don't use it too early on. Now they're going to be able to catch up here. No moves will be available into 8 or 9, but 10 or 11 is definitely going to be possible. It's not going to be possible, it's a hairpin, but we'll go right round. Let's see who can get the best traction on the circuit. It's gonna be Breezer, although he gets a bit of a wobble. Blake's matched him there, and DRS will be available. Is he going to be able to just power through? Breezer, though, has saved. Maybe the setup is pretty good as well, and it's not a competition. Breezer very good on the straights there, and that's already a 3-second time penalty for Blake. I don't believe that.
Oh man, that's very unlucky to start the race with a 3-second penalty. Gilly is under pressure from Benjamin. They've both got DRS, so I don't know what's going on there. Benjamin, he's going to go down the inside. Gilly defends a little bit. Gilly holds it around the outside and keeps P7 for now. It's Lepic retires. Where did he retire? The World Champions? No, in the pit lane. My apologies. As Benjamin and Gilly going side by side once again, Ben keeps the place on those medium tyres. He's going to have to use those to pull away at the beginning, because those hard tyres will come into play later on, as now Gilly's under pressure from Larlick, so he's going to have to be careful. He's going to have to attack and defend simultaneously, but with the DRS he should be able to be okay for the moment.
Fair enough. That was an interesting one. I don't quite know what's happened to their pick, but that's once again no points on the board.
No way! Benjamin spun! Coming just before the corner, before the hairpin, the chicane, he spun it, and now Tommy's going to go down the inside, squeezing him to the outside so he can't get the switch back, holding the inside line. Benjamin tries to switch back, but he just can't do it with those hot tyres. So Benjamin is dropped all the way down to P11 as Larlick goes for the move on Gilly, and now he's up into P7, although his light is flashing, which signifies that he's got little to no ERS. And also Neffel, sorry, but Neffel's went for a move as well, and he's, wait no, was he defending from Robbo actually? I'm not too sure, but he's P5 and Robbo's P6 at the moment, and Neffel's light's also flashing, so some people having to use a lot of ERS to get past, as it's a very difficult track to overtake on. So yeah, but Breeze has broken the DRS off of Blake, so that penalty is going to be really biting Blake at the moment, as Sven is dragging Cohen along. So Cohen's actually played this very well on those medium tyres, using the soft runner to their advantage, just about keeping in DRS. So Cohen might be into play here within the next few laps.
Yeah, they're leaving a little bit tight on the DRS. They might have just missed out there as they were on the edge of the 1 second range. We'll wait and see. They managed to keep it. Lovely stuff. Sven still pushing. Not going to be able to get it yet because obviously there's a little bit of a train up ahead with Blake and Breezer. It is an advantage that they both have. But in the corners, Sven will be faster, and especially around a circuit like this, the tyres do seem to last a little bit longer, statistically at least, compared to other circuits. Now, we'll see what's going on. There's a yellow flag for Marco, who is at the back of the field. Unfortunately, had a couple issues, got themselves a time penalty as well. I want to have a look at Robbo quickly. They had a lot of pace in the Netherlands, but just not able to get up there off the start. The start's pretty crucial. You have to try and make moves early on. They're still pretty close to Nifo. They've got the DRS, so these guys at this stage can work together quite nicely. Larlux dropped off, unfortunately. Oh no, they weren't actually there. No, they were Gilly, sorry. They're staying ahead of Gilly. But we are going to go back with the top two, I was going to say, but that is Nifo round. Not ideal at all. That is them losing it at turn 89, and that is going to be them having to probably give all the positions back. They move to the inside to defend from the car on the inside, but no, it's not going to be possible. Those tyres are just too dead, and J-Mo will go through making those positions back slowly but surely with Ben up ahead. But yeah, back to the top two. Blake isn't actually in DRS range this time, and this is a turning point in the race.
Sven made a little bit of a mistake. Those soft tyres seem to be overheating. Cohen's going to be putting them under a lot of pressure. He needs to be careful not to lose the car too much. Grazing the wall of the rear tyre, so he's really finding the limit on these soft tyres as they're just dying off after 6 laps. I did say the last round at 68 laps, and it's showing. He just can't find the pace to keep up with the front two, and now Cohen's putting them under a lot of pressure coming into turn 8, 7 or 8 or 8 and 9. I don't quite know, my apologies. 8 and 9, but he's managing to pull away in the high speed corners, but the low speed he has no traction, so maybe his rears are overheating but his fronts are keeping in check. Coming onto the straight now, he almost loses it again as GMO gets a penalty. Onto the back straight, will he catch him enough? I don't think so, so you'll have to wait for the main straight. Doesn't look like neither of these guys are using ERS. Cohen catch him a lot and he's in. So maybe those tyres were dying off very badly and he had to do something about it. So we'll see what tyres he goes on to, because this could determine what strategy he's doing. Into the lane now. Hard tyres, so it could be in a very aggressive one stop.
Yeah, Cohen gets released, and that's probably the smarter thing for Sven. He doesn't have to be involved in any battles later on, so it's probably the fastest way rather than an extension if you've got a car right behind. 2 seconds is the gap between Cohen and the cars ahead. Blake is going in and out of the DRS range, and they've got it again. J-Mo has DNF'd. Where's Ladian? They're in the pit lane as well. So they are not going to be scoring any points, unfortunately, and that's it. I don't really know what to say.
Tommy's also made a mistake. Tommy's bent it out of turn 2, the corner that's almost like a curse. He just can't get any traction on it, so he's lost his wing. Have to get through the pack once again, and Ben's now up into P7. Is there a safety car? No. Okay, sorry, my game's just glitching out. I don't know what's going on there. But Benjamin up into P7 after that spin earlier on, and here comes Nefoyan down the inside of Sven, squeezing them to the wall, not putting him in the wall though, keeping it nice and respectful. He doesn't have the traction to match Sven because he's on the new hard tyres. They both have DRS obviously because of the train that they're in. But Sven manages to get past for the moment. He's using the slipstream though, Nifo. And he's going to try and get a good exit and maybe match him, but I think he realised that at this point there's no point fighting him considering he's on the new hard tyres.
Especially with the energy as well that they've got available. It's not too much at the moment as you're getting into kind of the recovery stage of the race where the pit stops kind of are about to happen. That's when the recovery stages are. You try and save a bit of ERS for your next stint. Now, these guys are all in a bit of a train, of course, and JJ Benjamin leading it. Breezer has had issue after issue again, and unfortunately that's the race leader retiring from the session. They've given up. I don't believe it. That's Benjamin after avoiding action of the AI. Extremely dangerous there. And what has gone on? The pole sitter and P2, the entire front row, once again out having issues. I do not believe it. Blake leads the way and not contested. Cohen now in P2, but they're not gaining. They do have a time penalty, Blake, but that is still a pretty good opportunity. No safety cars so far. If that is something to go by later on, it does look like it's going to be pretty good for Blake, but he's got to pray that somebody else gets a time penalty just in case there is a safety car. Interesting stuff right here. But yeah, it is what it is. Cohen now released, but not catching. We've got Robbo up to P3 after all of this. Larlican P4, Gilly P5, Benjamin and JJ leading that train still, and they're in a good position as well now.
Yeah, that train of Benjamin and JJ, I said it last time, so I'm not going to say what I'm thinking, but Benjamin's honestly doing very well right now. He's keeping the train with his teammate in it, so he's got a rear gunner, but he's also pulling away. And I believe he's catching Gilly a few tenths a lap, so this is exactly what he needs to do. Although the gap has just went up, so I think I may have spoken too soon. Nope, it's coming back down again. So I have no idea what I'm waffling about. But he should be able to catch this train, although that lockup says otherwise, so maybe his tyres are starting to go off now. And we might see a switch. Not in positions, but in terms of... Actually, yes, in terms of positions. As Gilly goes around the outside of Larlick, not really fighting it too much. He keeps a tight line, Larlick, just so Gilly can get past. On the straight, he's using his ERS, but he just can't get anywhere near him. So, Larlick tried to strategically pass Gilly, maybe not understanding that it's a double DRS straight. So, that's unfortunate. It's all my days. Sven's went up the inside of JJ. They've made contact. JJ's almost round, and now Niffle has to take avoiding action. Now he's went around the outside. He's almost won and collected JJ, but oh, that's absolutely dreadful.
Niffle did actually make contact there with the car, with JJ, so I don't know if it was heavy enough to actually get damage, but I think they might have got away with that one. Not ideal. Everybody's just kind of fizzling around a little bit. Sven is up. I would like to see a replay on that one. I didn't quite get to see it too well, but it is what it is for now. We just have to carry on and get on with it. Looking back with Gilly, of course, and Larlick, so they were fighting as Larlick was leading the way for such a long time, and I think they're just kind of switching around a little bit, and they'll just work together. Of course, Larlick don't have any ERS available, so they're just having to try and recover. This might be why Gilly's decided to make the overtake. He knows that he has the ability to. Sven's going to be looking for a move here, try and make this hard tyre work, and yes he does. Look at that exit, very very good. Bender goes defensive to the inside. That's an interesting situation to be in. Sven doesn't go defensive himself. He knows that he's on the other strategy, and it's not really worth Ben fighting it. He can gain time from this if he holds in a train as well, so he won't be threatened by the cars behind, although the only actual car behind in the EU tier that is close enough is his teammate JJ, and they will be communicating. So yeah, that's interesting for sure. Benjamin's tyres are going to only get older, and Gilly's going to be putting more and more pressure on. Depends if Sven will be able to break away. They're already 9 tenths ahead, so Niffo might be looking at a move here. A 3 second for Sven, interestingly. That's not ideal, but yeah, it is what it is. Niffo, will they have the move this time? Going deep, both of them into the corner. I don't know if Benjamin got DRS. I think they might have just about missed it. Yes, they did miss it. Niffo will be catching, spamming the ERS to try and get the move done. They're close, they're close, they're close. Goes back to the racing line. They're side by side. The Red Bull's in front. Benjamin backs off. Lets the Red Bull go through. And Larlick, the other one. He's round. I don't believe it. No way. JJ's now going to get another battle. Marco's there as a ghost car. It's an interesting situation to be in. But yeah, Larlick, unfortunately, round after all that battle, or after that battle, maybe following in the dirty air wasn't something that they're used to, and unfortunately, that's that one done and dusted.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate for Lalek. So yeah, as you said, the dirty air could really affect the tyres as it's very hot around Canada at the moment. And Sven's already caught up to Gilly, so Sven's going to be putting him under significant pressure once again. Coming into the hairpin, he could make the move here as a DRS detection point. They've just went past, so let's see what happens. But he's went a bit wide. He's went a bit wide under the pressure. He's cracked and he's defended it nicely actually. But Sven with the DRS, using his DRS also, he's going to just sail past. The best thing for Gilly to do at the moment is probably just stick in that DRS for the moment and try and pull away with Sven, but I'm not sure what he's going to do. Those hard tyres are absolutely rapid. And Niffo, after spinning, is already right up to the back of him once again. Ben dropping off the pace a little bit on those old medium tyres, but you can't blame him, those tyres will start to die off. As there's an Alpine spun of Reese into turn 9, so that's not very good. As he nearly hits the wall again, so let's hope he doesn't cause a safety car. And okay, right, it's fine at the moment.
Yeah, should be alright for now. Closest battles we have was Gilly, Niffo, and then maybe JJ and Laluk. The both Red Bulls in a bit of a situation here. For the leading positions, no one's really close enough at the moment. It is kind of just breaking apart a little bit, unfortunately. Could we see a dive from Niffo? No, he's just going to wait. There's no need to dive at the moment, especially as an F1 driver. It would be pretty silly to do. Now, they're going to get the DRS, they're going to get the run, even before they get to the final part of the straight. Gilly's pushing a little bit on the, or they just have ERS to fight with, which is quite interesting to see. Niffo kind of hit a brick wall, but he's through anyway, and Gilly probably won't be able to fight back with the... Wait, no, they've got a lot of ERS. Oh, I don't quite know then. Niffo and Sven are just making that move. They've got up ahead into P3 and 4, going to try and hunt down the other guys. Cohen is... Did he just pit?
Yes, he did just pit. I didn't want to interrupt you. And he's got a penalty! Oh no! He's got a penalty, so he can't capitalise on Blake's errors earlier in the race, so they're now matched. Gilly also getting a penalty. It's all kicking off here. And that's not what you like to see, but Cohen on those cold hard tyres, just struggling to find the grip and maybe overestimating the tyres a little bit and got that penalty, but these things happen. I mean, he's going to lose a bunch of time anyway, and speaking of losing a bunch of time, Blake's coming into the pit lane now, a lap later, so he will get the overcut on Cohen at the moment. He did lose about 2-3 seconds just because how cold the hard tyres are, so we'll wait and see, but I think he will retain the provisional lead at the moment. Cohen coming down the back straight, and Blake's already left the box, so coming out the pit lane now. And yes, he's miles clear of Cohen, but Cohen's tyres will be up to temperature, so let's watch out for that.
Just ahead of Sven. Sven's going to be on warm tyres. That's a retirement in the pit lane. No safety car will be deployed for that one. But yeah, just behind is Sven. He has to take avoiding action. Obviously, those hard tyres are extremely difficult to use at the moment. Still fights the position. Doesn't want to give it up. That's an interesting one. I thought he would have tried to get into the train because it would be pretty easy to do. And they've actually backed off to let them go, interestingly. That's a strange way to do it, but it's happened. Nothing that we can do now. Trying to get the tyres warmed up. As long as they've got no one behind them, they should be alright. But Niffo, after all that, has caught nicely to Sven, and we will see these guys battle once again. Let's see who's going to come out on top. They find their way at the front runners. Robbo, of course, not pitted just yet. They're not pitting again. Looking to the inside goes Niffo, but they just have to back off for now. It's not possible. Can they secure a good exit? It's good enough to challenge. The DRS is there, and I think Sven might even get past before the corner. Yes, he does. Slightly closing the door goes Niffo, and yeah, that's the move done for the provisional lead. Of course, Robbo not actually pitting yet. We'll see what they can do. They might be trying to do a special strategy here. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, Gilly up the order now, not pitting yet. Pretty going pretty strong on these tyres. We'll see how they deal with these guys right behind here.
Would you like to explain that special strategy to us all?
I don't know if they're going to maybe try and go a little bit further into the race. Obviously, Sven started on that soft tyre, then going to the hards. I'm not sure if maybe a one-stop is on the cards for Robbo if he really wanted to try and challenge it. Blake is going to go fighting once again with Sven. He wants to get into the DRS train, but he wants to be right in it as he now has to try and push for Nifo. Sven's not happy with it. He wants to try and stick together, but it's not working. DRS is available, of course, for Blake for a second time, and he will be able to catch up to Nifo after all, so it's not like they're losing too much. It is well calculated. We have Ben, who might have a look on the inside. No, as he wasn't able to put it on the brakes. There's 17 level medium tyres. He's extending these. He might be trying to do something a little bit risky. I don't quite know. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, no safety cars. So some of these guys further behind who have had issues are really quite struggling, but right now we still have a couple battles. And who's that going slowly? I think that's a lap car just up ahead. It's Alfa Romeo of MGS as he lets everyone go through. Let's block Benjamin just a tad, but nothing too major at least. Now looking further up, we do have these guys in their good old train, but no moves will be made. They haven't really closed or escaped from one another. They're just in a neutral position. Although Blake has run out of ERS, so has Nifo. Sven could be at an advantage here. Let's see if that changes later on. I'm not quite sure. Benjamin and Gilly are the closest ones to battle. Benjamin's just changed our minds as he goes into the pit lane onto the hards, I would assume. Unless he's going for a two-stop, he's going for the one-stop onto the hards, pretty standard. And he's on his way. He's going to come out in P9. Not going to be changing any further behind. And there you go.
Yeah, Blake's done something really smart here because he's catching Robbo, but also keeping within the DRS of Neffel, who's an F1 driver. Very quick, might I add. But on those older hard tyres, although he is a little bit quicker than Robbo, he's still keeping Blake behind in a way, so Blake's using this to his advantage, saving the battery and saving the tyres as he's catching up to Robbo. That gap's only going to drop, so it's going to go from like 6 seconds, maybe to 4 seconds by the time he pits. Is he coming in this lap? Not at the moment, so he will come in maybe around about lap 22, 23. Not too sure, but Blake not battling at the moment, which is unfortunate. Although we've seen before that he's not scared to fight because he got past Fenn and he wanted to be controlling this DRS train, being the second driver because you never want to be the third. As Gilly finally comes into the pit lane after those 18 lap old hard tyres. I've had enough. He's going on to the medium tyre towards the end of the race. He will be on the faster tyre, the alternate strategy. Oh well, in this game at least, the new strategy obviously allows you to push farther later on in the race.
You're still going to need to go to about lap 28, 29-ish if you want to go onto a soft tyre. So you will have a long way if you do want to push it. Robbo could think about this here, especially with no time penalties. And the advantage that you have is if you stay out longer, you increase the chances, if kind of in a way, of you being in front if there's a mid-race safety car. Obviously, you can never predict when it happens, if it happens, but he does have this advantage of trying to react. Looks like he's into the pit lane anyway, just as I'm talking about that, and Nifo will follow, so they're not going to try and go onto a set of softs after all, or even just mediums a little bit later into the race. So yeah, that's Blake released into the lead. Sven's now going to have the DRS, maybe put pressure on. He's got a plenty of ERS to push and fight Blake if he wants to. It wouldn't be so much of a fight, it would be a kind of collaboration, if that's the right word. of course, because it's not worth it at this point. Nifo, Robbo onto the fresh medium tyres. Robbo in a phenomenal position with no time penalties. Let's see and hope that for his sake he can keep that no time penalty situation. Benjamin also one of those who's doing really well on the track limits. But yeah, Nifo 4 seconds behind Robbo. We'll have to see how they go, but they've got a lot of time to gain on the cars ahead and then make the move.
Yes, Sven is on those old tyres as he pit around about like what, lap 6, 7. So Cohen's going to be quite a bit faster at the moment. Well, he's going to be faster for the rest of the race, my apologies. And so we're going to see that gap drop as, oh no, JJ spun. Those 20 lap old hard tyres really not doing him any good, and he spun again. He can't get the car in a straight line. He needs to watch out though, because Larlick's going to be on his way soon. As if Goldstein wasn't off, that would have been a catastrophic incident. So, thankfully for Goldstein at least.
Yeah.
And he dropped all the way down to P9, so that very risky strategy of him maybe going onto soft tyres hasn't paid off. It's just been a dismal day all around. So, oh damn.
Not ideal, not ideal. But we do continue to see the guys ahead, of course, battling. They do have a lapped car ahead. I don't know. Marco on fresh hards. So he's on the same tyre. Might be able to give Blake a bit of DRS here. I don't know. I mean, it is fair. I guess, kind of. In a way. I guess it's just kind of luck of the game. Let's see if Blake does actually get close enough to get DRS. I'm not sure if they actually are. It wouldn't really change much though. Sven, it would just delay when he wants to go for an overtake if he wants to go for an overtake. This does give Blake a slight advantage, even though it's not happening anymore. He does have this time right now to save ERS and try and challenge a little bit later on, unless Sven can get a good exit here. No, it's not going to be worth it. He's just going to have to wait. And then wait for another lap. He's close, closer than before, but no
not close
cigar.
Yeah, he's just.
we had the same idea.
Yeah, but he's going to have to be patient. Obviously, he is an F1 driver. He's not going to go for a risky move. I mean, I wouldn't think so anyway. So he's just going to wait. All those hard tyres are looking worse for wear because he's been gapped a little bit by Blake in the middle, the first sector here. Let's see the gap go 4, 5, 10s coming onto the straight now. He will gain a bit back, but maybe that strategy wasn't the right one for Sven. Maybe he should have started on an alternate tyre because he's really struggling to get past Blake. He's just keeping it under control at the moment. A very mature drive, and he spun! He spun! And he's reset the track. Oh dear. Oh my days. I was just talking about how bad the tyres were, and that shows how bad they actually are after 15 laps on heavy fuel. He's lost the car. And his car's going to be overheating like hell, and a Robbo's going to be in the frame to overtake him.
That's a bit. It sounds a little bit counteractive, but it's actually really not good for Blake. Blake had a bit of a DRS train going on, and he could either sit behind Sven and still get the position, or he could stay ahead, and then Sven would just be a buffer in between. Now he doesn't have that, and if and when, I should say, Robbo does get closer, it's going to be a lot harder for him to defend, although those medium tyres will be pretty old later on. We'll have to see. I don't quite know what's going to happen. JJ gets a 3-second time penalty. Gilly and Benjamin are close, but I think they might be split. No, side by side though, Sven and Benjamin. This corner, it's not worth a fight. But a little bit later on it might be. Looks like Sven's struggling. Luckily they ghosted. That could have been horrendous. On the soft tyre though, which is interesting, that does mean Gilly's now going to be split in two. Well, the gap is going to be split in two. He's now not going to be able to catch up. He will still have DRS. He's just got to hope that the guys ahead slow each other a little bit so they can get back and close to Ben. These guys were actually pretty close, Ben and Gilly, in the last race. Benjamin did manage to get the better of them, of course, with the pit stops. We'll see how it goes this time around. But Sven, right in between on the soft tyre, which is seems like a recovery kind of tyre to go onto, or a mistake. I don't know what it was. We have Robbo right behind Nifo. This is brilliant for him. He can relax or push if he wants to. Of course, with no time penalties and Niffer being the higher tier driver, this will be an advantage, and they both have the same tyre, so there's no reason for them to be too different on tyre. At least it's just about energy. We'll see how it goes. He's going to keep getting that DRS for the time being. Sven, nice and close to Benjamin, but not close enough. We've got a yellow for JJ, having more issues. So I don't quite know what was going on there, but it's kind of a domino effect here. And it's not working. Ooh. Once again, Sven really struggling on the fronts. It seems to be slipping, which is weird, but he just loses the front end. This is almost as if the car jumps up a little bit. On the bumps on this circuit, it is not a surprise. It's not exactly the smoothest of all time. So, yeah, maybe the softs are a little bit too hot. Sometimes it helps if you plan your setup around a set of tyres, and maybe that's not the case today.
Yeah, maybe he has planned it around the harder compound tyre, because he wasn't actually showing that bad pace on the hard tyre, as he just pulled over to let it go. I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe some just setup issues. He might retire, I'm not sure. As Cohen gets to 3 seconds, which is really going to benefit Blake. Is it going to benefit Niffle? Yeah, no. Let's check. Oh, Cohen's got 12 seconds of penalties. So this is going to benefit Robbo and Cohen Robbo and Niffle very much so, because although he's got 6 seconds himself, he only needs to save within 6 seconds of Cohen. And Robbo with no time penalties, he's going to shoot up to P2.
Yeah, how many has Blake got?
3, only 3 seconds.
So Robbo, he still has a good chance here. Of course, they're closing up quite quickly to Cohen, and Cohen's going to be, I say, not much of a threat with those tyres. We'll have to see if he really does want to fight it or not. Robbo will then, of course, he's just going to get past, and that's why I would say maybe Cohen wouldn't need to fight that, and maybe just try and stay with a train, and that will help him defend from the cars behind later on. We'll have to see how that goes for him. But yeah, then if they do get past, they will be able to start catching up. Robin might have to consider trying to get ahead of Niffo if possible. We'll have to see how it goes, though. I don't quite know. But yeah, further down the order, once again, Benjamin and Gilly are nice and close together. Sven either pitted again or had another issue, and Benjamin and Gilly have been released. Of course, there was a mistake earlier on, so we did see it. But Gilly, can they fight here? Tyres, they're going to be dying towards the end. Benjamin will have the advantage. If he's not catching him now, will he be able to catch him later? I don't know.
Well, Gilly's going to he's going to have to push now, because his tyres are going to start just dropping off around about lap 9, 10, because that's when we've seen the switch between the medium and the hard tyre pace-wise, so he's going to have to get on it right now. But Ben seems to be very consistent. He's just very clean and smooth with the car, although he did just lock up a little bit there. And so he's just able to get nice exits, keep the Gilly behind, monitor his DRS, and this is a very mature drive from Ben. He's really kept it under control, and he's looking for a P4 finish at the moment, so good for him.
Careful of the commentator's curse, thinking I
No.
remind you of that one.
I believe this time.
Niffo is really close now to Cohen. It's happened sooner than I thought. Almost pushing them through the corner. They're not. It's just a metaphor. DRS available. Looks like they might even have a go here. No ERS available. Nope, they're going to back off. They realise it's too late on the straight to go alongside. It's just not worth the risk. Now, looking at Robbo behind, he's a little bit far back. Ideally for him, he tries and makes the move as soon as Niffo does, because that'll be an extreme advantage. Cohen is fighting this, actually, which is an interesting thing to do, although he's not actually being threatened by anybody else behind. Now, Cohen, like I said, he doesn't need to fight this with the time penalties, unless he really wants to. If he can stay in the train, even if it's in third off the train, he'll be good to go. ERS is absolutely mega on Robbo's car, so he'll make that move, and Curran still tries to stick his nose in. He's got a 3 second. I don't believe it. Got a 3 second. Curran tried to stick their nose in and fight that back, and all of a sudden, Blake doesn't need to worry. Wow. Okay, that was a very, very quick turn of events. Robbo also, because of that fighting from Curran, has lost that DRS train. So Robbo's going to be furious with that one. I bet he's not going to be happy. That was
Blake has 3 seconds.
Another one. Okay. Robbo's kind of in reset here. This is good news for him, not good news for Blake. Nifo will be catching, but at least for Blake, Robbo's no longer being carried along. So, yeah, that is really disappointing for Robbo, but great news for Blake. Cohen is still in the DRS. I'm not really sure why he would want to fight this.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He needs to be watching for Benjamin. Although he is 6 seconds back, he's on a bit of fresher tyres. Let's say he makes a mistake. He might do, he might not. I'm not too sure. Just like Robbo done there, grazing the wall, he's really pushing the limits. He really needs to, well, he doesn't need to, but he really wants this win. It'll be vital for the championship and for Mercedes as a constructor. So he's pushing on for the time being, but he doesn't look like to have the pace on the hards on the mediums is what I would have thought. Although it is the 9th lap on them, and as I said, that's when they started to die off. So this looks good for Ben.
He just needs to, it needs to shake off the DRS from Cohen, and he's done that so far, but he's not actually gaining on Nifo at all. Nifo is escaping very, very quickly, not closing as quick as I thought he would to Blake, so that's going to be one to watch later on. I'm sure Benjamin, the only driver without time penalties, and he might be able to benefit from this later on. He could get an advantage. I don't know though, that is a significant gap. With 12 seconds, he still needs to gain, that's 5 seconds if I'm correct, for 6 seconds really, if he wants to actually get ahead of Cohen. And then a lot more if he wants to actually get ahead of anybody else. But he's in a bit of trouble. Benjamin has to push here without risking it too much, of course. That is the disadvantage that you have if you don't push on those track limits. You might get a couple warnings, but you might go a little bit slower. It depends how much time you've put in for the race. Before the race, of course, Gilly is close behind. He's not going to get any quicker though on those tyres. They will be coming towards the end of the life as we are coming towards the end of the race. And I don't know what's going to happen here, as that is JJ. Okay, that's JJ. I thought that was Ben, but no, it is JJ. 6 seconds still for Nifo and Robbo on a 3 second, so he will still be able to jump Nifo. Blake, in this situation, he cannot afford to fight Nifo, because otherwise Robbo might be able to catch up.
If Blake I'm pretty sure Blake does realise it's Fred. Oh wait, he's in the pit lane. I did. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, as I was saying, Blake, if he realises, and I'm pretty sure he does, that Nifo's a higher tier driver, he can maybe use him to slingshot his way, well, not slingshot his way past, but just keep that gap within the 4 seconds, meaning that he will win this race.
I think maybe is an understatement. He has to. He doesn't have another choice. Because,
yeah, my apologies.
Yeah, he doesn't have another choice, because if he does fight it, then he's only going to slow himself down. So I'm sorry, Blake, on-track glory might not be worth it today. Of course, Robbo is not actually that close, so it might be worth a gamble if he really wants it. But it's just an unnecessary risk at this stage. Nifo closing, got the DRS this time. They're going to be able to use it for now to try and close up. The tyres will be pretty dead as we come to the final laps of the race. So maybe I take that back just a little bit. Blake might be able to stay ahead after all. Time will tell though. Those hard tyres aren't exactly nice either. As you could see, Blake was squirming on the exit. Sends it on the entry if the corner does Nifo. DRS available. He'll catch back up a little bit more. I don't think he's going to... No, he's not going to go for a move this lap. He'll have to have a look on the next lap if he's going to go for it at all, of course.
Can I just say something? That for the time being, Benjamin is catching Cohen and, well, he's catching everyone basically. The gap went from 18 to 16 seconds. He needs a few more seconds, I believe. Let's see. He needs 4 more seconds and 4 laps. So it's going to be close to the podium, but Ben will push. I think he's got a bit more barrier. I'm not too sure entirely, but he'll be pushing on. And for his sake, he'd hope that he'd get a podium in this race. He would be very happy with that, I assure you of. And Niffle's actually catching up to Blake. Well, he was anyway, but now the gap's 2, 3 tenths. He has a little bit of a compromised line coming out of the hairpin, but he's using the ERS. Blake isn't. I think he's realised the situation that he's in at the moment. Lets Niffle breeze past him. Niffle leading, but obviously he is a higher tier driver, so Blake will still win for the moment.
Yeah, lovely stuff as Niffo does make that move. Blake will sit behind. He doesn't need to fight, and he isn't fighting. If he can hold on to the DRS train, then that's even better, of course, but it's not a necessity at this stage. Robbo isn't exactly going to get any faster with those medium tyres compared to the hard tyres. Yeah, we'll have to see. Cohen in P4. Benjamin, if he does get a position, it will only be 1 position, which is 2 extra points. So is he going to try and risk 10 points for 12 or secure 12 instead of 8? 10 instead of 8, I should say. I'm not quite sure. Obviously, with the time penalties, he doesn't really have that much pressure. Of course, as well, with the cars around him, they're not that close at all. So he doesn't have virtually any pressure at this stage. The only pressure that he'll have is that he puts on himself if he wants to try and catch up to the cars ahead. He is catching. It's not really enough at this stage, though.
Wait, yes! He's got 15 seconds, sorry. He's got 15 now.
Oh, okay.
We missed it, but now he only needs to catch, what is it?
8 tenths.
8 tenths in the last lap. Let's look at his steering wheel. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but he's got a bit more, it looks like, than Cohen. So that's podium for Ben is still on.
It is indeed.
Oh,
looking for that P3. Yeah, my bad. It is a P3, of course, with Niffo. But yeah, Benjamin, can he get it? This will be his 2nd podium of the season. Of course, he got that 3rd place in the Netherlands. This will be actually really, really good, and it might actually push him into the lead of the champ. No, it will push him into the lead of the championship, unless Blake has something to say about that. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to see, but that is a really, really good result. If Ben can get it done, either way, he will score a decent amount of points today. Final lap of the race, believe it or not, and no safety car for the EU tier. They've done better than the F1 tier. That's not an insult, but they've done it today. Niffo got a couple more corners to go, but this guy has done it from P3 on the grid, converts it into a win round the final few corners. Niffo takes it for the overall race, but Blake will win the Canadian Grand Prix. Well done to him. Robbo, a great recovery and a return onto the podium. Lovely stuff for them. Curran right here in P4. I don't think it's going to be enough. Benjamin's going to have to send it into the final corner if he really wants to get that 3 tenths. It could be possible. He's used all the ERS, but it's not. It's not going to be enough. It was a great effort, though. Benjamin will take the P4 in the end. Gilly will slot in behind. P6 for them. P7 for Larlook. They had some great battles today, but it just didn't go quite to plan. Lost the car a couple times. Tommy Gunn had issues at the beginning and just wasn't quite able to recover. Of course, no safety cars bunched up the grid at all, so it was really a consistency game today. You had to take it very, very cautiously. Tommy into P8. We've got JJ, MGS, who will cross the line shortly, and then Marco at the back of the grid. But well done, Blake. That is an AlphaTauri once again for the 2nd time this season, taking the win.
Well, that was very fun. What a race.
Yeah.
Kept me on my toes until the final laps. Benjamin really trying his best to keep within that 15 seconds. He just missed it by about 5 tenths of a second, so that's unfortunate. But Blake, I mean, what a drive for him in.
Yeah,
He
really
just
well
kept it
done.
under control. He didn't have to push too much. Well, obviously he was pushing, but he didn't have to overstep the mark at all. He just kept it nice and calm, and that's what got him the win in the race.
Yeah, really well done to him. That is Blake. Nifo taking the win. Blake in P2, of course. And we have Robbo in P3. Curran in P4. Benjamin P5. Gilly. Larlock, Tommy Gun, JJ, MGS in P10. And then Marco finishes off the order. Sven, fastest lap. I believe they DNF'd, so did Reese, Breezer, J, Motolepic earlier on in the race. We'll skim through the race director, the driver section, the incident section, and then the pit stops, of course. We've got a couple of these to get through. It is one of those tracks, unfortunately. Very difficult to actually get around, but it is what it is. We will be back for the post-race interviews. We will see you in a bit. Hello everyone, welcome back to LSI F1.5 Championship. We're today for the post-race interviews of the Canadian Grand Prix. That was an interesting one. A lovely waiting game, of course, with the... a waiting game? A game of patience, I should say. With no safety car today. It was pretty tough to do, but these guys managed to do it. Gilly, we start with you. The strategy in the end just didn't quite play to your advantage, of course, with Ben up ahead. But are you happy with that result in the end? With
considering it felt like everyone I saw was overtaking me. So considering that, I'll take. Is it 5th with Nifo because he doesn't count?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll take that. Considering everyone was overtaking me.
Yeah, that is fair enough. It was a really tough race. The strategy was absolutely mental. Lots of people were trying to extend those tyres, and it wasn't easy towards the end. So, yeah, with a different tyre situation to the car ahead, it's not ever going to be easy to catch up. Imola, do you think you can do well there? I know you're a Ferrari fan. You're not quite in the right Ferrari, but it's a... Do you think
as long as Dilly doesn't get me another 5 second at Imola, that would be nice.
I remember that one now. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, thank you very much. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Ben was hacking.
I would agree. All right. Thank you very much, Gilly. We'll see you next time on today. And we move on to Blake. You have won the Grand Prix. Well done today. That is awesome. That's going to bump you quite high up in the championship. I'm not sure if it puts you in the lead, but it's a very, very good one. Are you happy with that one? The time penalties were a little bit scary from our side, but do you think you had it under control?
Yeah, I was pretty stressed. I thought I don't know. It was just a stressful race all around.
Yeah.
After the Brisa incident, and you know.
Were you prepared for a race with no safety cars, with all the strategy and the tyres that would just be dead at the end?
Not really, no. That's why I put the mediums on at the start, because I thought there'd be a safety car, but no.
Fair enough. Imola, that's up next. It's going to be... there's a lot more corners to get through, but it's not as a tight of a circuit as we had here today. Canada, do you think you can do well there? It's another track that you're pretty good at.
Yeah, I won there last season, and I hope I can repeat that.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, if it's anything to go by today, then you should be in a good position. Well done today. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
I'm sorry, desync.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today. Alrighty, we move on to Ben. Ben, you had no time penalties. You're only driver to do it. It's just the Benjamin way. Can you take us through that race? It was you had a couple train moments, but you managed to outlast quite a lot of the grid.
Well, in full Benjamin fashion, I did no practice, so
Brilliant.
I was already super slow. So I decided to go mediums for the start because more grip, and I spun, so that was lovely. So I trod on, continuously doing laps basically, not trying to go quick at all, just waiting for a safety car, trying not to write the car off. Then eventually I saw Gilly, so I just wanted to beat Gilly. That's all I wanted, and I completely forgot about pit stop, so I pitted about 5 laps too late. Then on the hards, started racing Gilly again, tried to pull a gap, kept catching up, and then eventually I pulled a bit of a gap. And then I saw Cohen, and I was having a buddy arguing with myself if I should just push it to the limit to try and get Cohen on the last laps. And I decided not to because I'm too slow.
You had no ERS left. Do you think that if you had a little bit more, you'd been able to?
No, I think my leg weren't broken. I didn't miss my braking point every time in the last corner. I think I may could have done it, but no.
Ah.
Yeah, another tank of DRS wouldn't have done any harm though. Another 2-3 times down the straight.
It might have been a problem with the leg situation, but going into Imola, do you think you can do well there? It's quite a technical circuit, no?
No.
No. Okay. Fair
P10
enough.
finish.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, at least you're still looking for points. So yeah, that's good. Alrighty. Well, thank you very much. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
I don't know, mate.
That's 4.
Yeah, we'll go for that.
Okay. Alright. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today. And we move on to Breezer. Breezer, another front row lockout with you and JMO. It didn't go quite to plan. We didn't see it on stream, unfortunately. But there was a bit of desync.
Bit of this, yeah. Well, I think the start of the race was pretty good. I managed to get a P2 in quali with a kind of good time for me, so I was happy with that. JMO once again jumped me by just a little bit, so we are always like in the same times in qualifying. Start was alright, I managed to jump him. Blake followed me, and then happened what happened. Yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. It's not ideal. It's another race that didn't go to plan. Of course, you got some good points back in Italy. Do you think you can go to the next Italian track and try and bring it back up the order if everything goes your way?
Well, honestly, I don't know. Right now, I am so busy that I do not even want to race the next race because no matter what I do, some shit just happens. Either I got taken out or desync will screw me or something. Just so right now, I got really bad vibe about it.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, one last question. How do you describe your race in 3 words?
If I scratch out the bad words, I have probably nothing to say.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today. We move on to, not Dilly, we'll go to Nifo. Nifo, it was a great race. You managed to get to the win. You managed to get the win in the end. It was pretty hectic, of course, starting at the back. It always is. Can you take us through that one?
Yeah, it was. I just had to rush home because I was at a football game, so I got
Did it go alright?
there. No, but we'll talk about that after. But yeah, so I just got home, used qualies as practice session, and then on my last, when I went out for the last, I did a Yuki, so I was braking, but the car didn't stop, and I hit the wall very little, and my wheel broke off, and the game teleported me on back onto the track, which I think ruined Gilly's lap, which I'm very sorry, but the game teleported me, so that was a bit. But in the race itself was very hectic. In the start, I think someone spun, and I was lucky he ghosted, otherwise I would have died. And then I think he collected 1 or 2 other cars, and then just overtaking cars every lap and just finding my way back into the front. Lost concentration, spun, just spun myself back around, just trying to find back into position. Praying for a safety car, it didn't happen. But we still got the win, and it was just nice battles overall, just with Sven and Blake and I don't know, a lot of other cars. It was very clean racing, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Really well done today once again. Good to see you at Canada. Say that you hate the track, but you did very well. Imola, next one. Do you think you can do well there?
No. The curbs will kill me, absolutely. I will, yeah. All the curbs are deadly, and the corner that goes uphill, I always spin there, so... But, I don't know. If Canada went well, then, I mean, this Imola can go well as well, so let's see.
Awesome, awesome. I like that attitude. Well done today. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Spin and win.
Thank you very much. I'll see you next time on today. And we move on to Sven. Sven seemed to have some technical issues, I hear. All of a sudden, you just seemed to go off the track a couple of times. Your turning movements weren't ideal. What happened?
Yeah, I had some. My force feedback broke actually in the game, but it was really weird. I was checking, and it was only the game, and it was not my wheel, so it was really weird. I had no feeling in the fronts, so I oversteered into every wall I saw, I think. So that was not ideal, but yeah, I was driving another tricky setup as well. Earlier I said to you already that I'm more like the understeery setups, and I choose a little oversteery setup, and Yeah, I was really quick with it before my force feedback broke, so not ideal.
Yeah, not ideal, but I mean, at least you got the experience on an overseries setup, so maybe we can see us Sven 2.0 for the
Yeah,
future.
maybe.
Yeah, awesome. I hope that gets fixed. Imola, an oversteery setup at Imola. It's tough, but do you think you could bring it there and go even quicker?
I can try. I did it. I did today a few time trial laps, but I chose overseries setup as well, and I spun I think every lap. So I have to find a new balance into that. But Imola, I like the track, so let's see what it brings.
Awesome, awesome. I like that. One last question. How do you describe your race in 3 words?
Game is broken.
It is. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thank you.
And we move on to Tommy. Tommy struggles at the start, and then you just weren't able to get back to it. Of course, with no safety car, you couldn't bunch back up. Not the way you wanted it to go. Can you take us through it?
I kind of messed up the start, but then it was kind of okay. But I spun 2 times. It was my fault, so I'm angry. And the second time I broke my wing, so I had to pit for hards in lap 8. And from then I just raced until the end on the hards.
Yeah, fair enough. Just hoped for something to happen. It's not what we want to see, but it is what it is. That means we can only go up for the next one. Imola, do you prefer that over Canada? Track limits maybe a little bit easier?
Yeah, definitely. I don't like Canada,
Okay.
so I hope Imola will be better.
Yeah, awesome. Another Italian track, so hopefully we can get it for your home team as well. One last question. How do you describe your race in 3 words?
I'm trash.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today. Lovely way to end that one with a bit of humour. And finally, over to Zingy.
Yeah, thank you for everyone for tuning in today and watching the race. Join us again at 7 p.m. PDT for the NA Championship at Canada once again. Have a great day and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.